with Greensill, I mean, I'm wondering what the downstream consequences are. Are there now going to be a bunch of suppliers who were used to getting paid in 5 to 10 days who are now going to have to reset their cash flows? Or is Apollo, what happens, do you think, Barry?
For any collapse, I guess the tragedy really is sort of like the people that's involved. So, you've got 1,000 employees that sort of like are sitting there waiting for what is happening. That's one. The downstream on effects on various businesses, and the papers reported about GFG Group in terms of their need to sort of like raise financing, and the potential and the political consequences of the jobs in relation to those businesses. But specifically, the suppliers access early payment in an SCF program. And if that program is no longer there, then the suppliers won't get access to early payment. Now, those suppliers, a lot of them, are small, medium-sized companies. They, would typically need to sort of like draw on overdrafts or even, pledge their home to sort of like try and keep the business going. So not having this early access means that's a big hit on their working capital.
And do you think there'll be a lot of that?
Look, I don't have sort of stats on that, but certainly you would think there are, and I think Darryl might actually have an example which you could sort of like talk to. But there's going to be, and it really depends on the size of the businesses. If it's a mom and pop shop, then that's an issue. If it's sort of like a big sort of multi national sort of contractor, then they have to access capital from a different source.
Did you say you had an example, Darryl, with your electrician?
That's right. In fact, these guys were actually utilising the Greensill facility. But the problem with this business was really the nature of the receivable and it being involved in the building construction industry. They were having trouble, delivering on their services. So it put in doubt the collectability of that receivable. So whilst the supply chain finance part of it was working reasonably okay for a period of time, it's still reliant upon that nature of that receivable and the borrower being able to actually collect on that receivable to make its payments under its facilities. So, I guess in that respect, it still has that traditional issue of, it comes down to the ability of the borrower to be able to access funds to make sure that it's able to service its facility. It acts no differently, just because it sort of bypasses that traditional sort of working capital process. In practice, it actually works quite well. Although in this case, what did happen is, there was a time when the default on that facility, and that is the supply chain finance part of the process, meant that the suppliers were still working and not getting paid, and that's because of the contractual issues that this company had with its principal. I mean, that's unavoidable.